Welcome to Math with Mr. Strands. This is Matthew C, Pre-Algebra, Lesson 7, talking about exponents in and outside of parentheses. So it says simplify. The first two have been done for you. Carefully compare number 1 and 2 to see how the parentheses affect the answer. Blah, blah, blah. Refer to your instruction manual for more. Okay, great. Just refer to this video. That's all you need. All right, so if we look at number 1, it's been done for us. Number 2 has been done for us. Let's talk about number 3, and I'll kind of explain what they meant by looking at your first two answers. So for number 3, we have -2 raised to the power of 3. Notice that the exponent is outside of the parentheses. What that means is that you are going to do -2 times another -2 times another -2. All of the numbers are going to be negative. That exponent means that you're taking the whole thing inside the parentheses and multiplying it 3 times. So -2 times a -2 is going to give you a +4. Okay, a +4 times a -2 is going to give you an answer of a -8. Okay, so you kind of got to be careful about your positive and negatives when you're doing this. Okay, let's look at number 4. Number 4 is a little bit easier because it's just -4 to the first power, which just means it's -4. Okay, number 5, we have -6 in parentheses, raised to the power of 2. Okay, and then there's a negative on the outside of that. So what that means is you're going to have this, but then you're going to have -6 times -6. All right, so let's just start with this first. -6 times -6 is a +36. But then you have that negative on the outside, which is going to change your answer to a -36. Okay, number 6, you got negative, and then in parentheses, 4 squared. So it's going to be, again, 4 times 4, but you have that negative out there. Okay, so 4 times 4 is 16, but that negative is going to cause it to be -16. Okay, number 7, 1 to the third power. That one's a little bit easier, just 1 times 1 times 1, which we know is 1. Number 8, here's where it kind of gets a little bit different. Notice there is no parentheses around the negative, the 3, or the -3, or anything like that. So when you see it like this, what that means is the first one is going to be -3, but then everyone after that is going to be a +3. Okay, so now that just means -3 times a +3 is going to give you a -9. A -9 times a +3 is going to give you a -27. Okay, so if there's no parentheses around it, that means only the first one is going to be the negative. Okay, let's look at number 9. We have negative and then 8 squared. So again, it's going to be 8 times 8, but there's that negative out there, which means it's going to be a -64. Okay, number 10. This time the -10, the whole thing is inside the parentheses. So that means -10 times another -10. A negative times a negative is a +100. Okay, number 11. Nothing is in parentheses this time. So again, like I said, that's just going to be the first one's only going to be negative. The second one's going to go back to positive, which is a -81. And then number 12, 2. So you got 2, 2, 2, 2, but you have that negative out there. Okay. So we got 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, 8 times 2 is 16. But we're going to have that negative out there, which means it's a -16. Okay. Next page, number 13. -1/2, all of it is in the parentheses to the 5th power. So you're going to have -1/2 times -1/2 times -1/2 times a -1/2 times one more -1/2. 5 times. Okay, so we're just going to take the numerator times the numerator, denominator times denominator. So we got -1 times -1 is a +1. +1 times a -1 is a -1. -1 times a -1 is a +1. And a +1 times a -1 is going to be a negative. Okay, and then the 2's, since we already did the negative on the top, we can just multiply the 2's. So 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, 8 times 2 is 16. 16 times 2 is 32. So there's your answer, negative 1 over 32. Okay, number 14, we have 1 over 11 times 1 over 11, but there's that negative on the outside. Okay, so that is going to be a negative 1 over 121. Okay, number 15, we got the negative on the outside, but on the inside, we also have the negative. Okay, so let's just do the parentheses first. We got negative 1 times negative 1. That's going to be a positive 1. And then 3 times 3 is 9, but we have the negative on the outside. So that means that has to carry over there, and it's going to be a negative 1/9. And last one, number 16, no parentheses. So that means only the first one's going to be negative. Second one's going to be positive, which gives us a negative answer, though, of negative 25. Okay, number 17, what is 6 used as a factor 2 times? So 6 used as a factor 2 times, that's going to be 36. What is negative 2 used as a factor 4 times? Now on these, it's a little tricky because I don't know if they mean negative 2 in parentheses, or do they mean, 4 times, not 2 times? Or do they mean this? They don't really tell you, okay? So your answer could be 2 different things. We're just going to pretend that it's in the parentheses, right? So that would be negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2. Okay, and that would be negative 2 times negative 2 would be a positive 4. Positive 4 times a negative 2 would be a negative 8. And negative 8 times a negative 2 would be a positive 16. Okay, number 19, Aaron raised 10 to the power of 2 and then wrote the opposite of his answer. What number did he write? Well, the answer to the original problem would be 100. If he wrote the opposite, then he would write negative 100. So that's the answer, negative 100. And then last one, Tammy used negative 15 as a factor 2 times. Then she multiplied her answer by negative 1. What was the final result? Well, again, they don't really tell you if this negative 15 needs to be in parentheses or if it doesn't. So this time, let's pretend it's not in parentheses. Okay, so that would mean it's negative 15 times a positive 15, which would give us a negative 225. And then she multiplied her answer by negative 1, which would turn it into a positive 225. Okay, that is pre-algebra, Matthew C, lesson 7.